My dad announced, "Sign it. Family doesn't keep score for the third time." I said, "We'll review." When his voice got caught on recording threatening to foreclose on Mom's house, we both realized who really ran the family. I'm 29. In our family, Trent is the golden child. I'm the one who remembers passwords and buys stamps. Dad calls Trent Vision. Mom calls him a lot. Grandpa Colonel Arthur Hayes turned 80 last month. He still stands straight, wakes at 500, and can make a room quiet by drinking water. People say he runs the family. Usually that means he remembers every IOU and never forgets who said what when they were tired. His birthday was at the VFW hall. The banner said 80 looks operational. Little green plastic soldiers guarded the cake. Dad worked the room like a campaign manager. Mom moved dented folding chairs with both hands like she could fix the whole night if she lined them up just right. Trent wore a quarter zip and a watch that photographs well. He clinked a glass and gave a toast about legacy that used the word 5 times in 2 minutes. Then the clipboard came out. Contribution order 18-point font. Columns for gross income, suggested monthly, discretionary notes. Everyone had a line. Trent's line, IN kind equity. Mine suggested a number that would eat a third of my paycheck. Next to Dad's name, a sticky in block letters, mortgage leverage in play. Family doesn't keep score, Dad told the room, smiling in my direction without using his eyes. Family shares load, we're just formalizing what we always do. Aunt Gloria, Mom's sister, 28 years with the IRS, made the kind of face you save for lemon rinds. The clipboard went around like a hymn book. Aunts shrugged and signed. Uncles muttered, "What's $100 as if that's the price of peace." Cousins scribbled their names with loops like autographs. When it reached me, Trent leaned in close enough to fog the laminate. "Sign it," he said. "It's Grandpa's wish." Trent loves borrowing other people's authority. Teachers, bosses, God. He wears it like a jacket and forgets he didn't buy it. "Understood," I said. I picked up the pen, wrote "will review" in tiny letters next to my printed name, and passed the clipboard. Dad let out a laugh with too many teeth. "Cute," he said. "We'll circle back." I took the clipboard to the bathroom because that's where you go when you need a quiet war. I locked the door, sat on the closed toilet, and photographed every page. Header, sticky, Trent's in kind line, the word discretionary, which in our family means Trent decides. I texted the photos to Aunt Gloria. "Do not sign anything," she sent. "Bring these to me at 9. When I stepped out, Grandpa stood by the cake with 2 paper plates and no fork. He eats cake like field rations. "You look like a man who just read a manual," he said. "I read a lot of manuals," I said. "Makes 2 of us," he said, and handed me a plate. He didn't ask questions. He never asks when the answer will come out on its own later. He watched the room breathe. Dad took the mic and said, "Some of us forget who carried us in 09. Some of us need a reminder that debts aren't just numbers." The word "some" did a lot of work. On the way out, Dad blocked the door with his smile. "We'll swing by tomorrow," he said. "You'll sign at the house, we'll notarize." "Where?" I asked, mostly to hear him say it. He gestured vaguely. "We have a guy." "Of course you do," Aunt Gloria said, slipping her car keys between her fingers like a quiet objection. That night my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Keegan here, Arthur's friend. Jag once upon a time." Then if they try to force a signature, snap a photo and send, our board needs it for the complaint. A winky face that felt like it had arthritis. If they try, I typed back. "Noted." "Quiet is a tool," he replied. "Morning at Aunt Gloria's smells like coffee and lemon oil. Her table is a courtroom." I laid out the photos. She put on the big glasses that turn yes into no. She tapped voluntary contributions with her nail. "Voluntary," she said like she was reading a joke out loud. She tapped the sticky mortgage leverage. "Noise." "I thought Grandpa ran the family," I said. Gloria buttered toast like she was caulking a boat. "Your grandfather runs ground. Victor, Dad, tries to run air. Trent sells us the weather report." We made a list. "Freeze my credit." "Bank appointment for my parents." "Add a passphrase." "Put a note on the account, in person only for wires, new payees, beneficiary changes." Pull the second mortgage and read the balloon clause. "County recorder, check for surprise liens." Start a ledger of every so-called help payment, who asked, who paid, where it went. Grandma, capacity eval with her doctor, if she can appoint, draft a springing power of attorney with co-agents. Lake cabin, who's on title? Trent, any UCC filings. "You will be the dullest man in this county for 3 weeks, Gloria said, sipping coffee. "That's how you win." At the bank, Mr. Ortiz put us in a glass cube that makes everyone tell the truth. He asked my mother, "What do you want to happen with your money?" "I want to be asked," she said. He nodded, printed a 1-page heightened verification form, and slid it across. She signed. He added a passphrase, maple, because Dad tried and failed to grow one from a bare root when I was 6. He added a note, significant changes require in-person verification with branch manager. He added me and Gloria as trusted contacts. He turned on alerts for transfers and new payees. This is friction, he said. Friction saves skin. At the county recorder, I scrolled through scans to 2010. The second mortgage was real. Servicer name like a law firm you'd meet in a beige building. Interest low, balloon clause sloppy, auto-renew and less notice. No new liens, no HELOC hiding like a bad surprise. I paid $7 for a warm copy and took a photo of the screen anyway. Paper likes redundancy. We booked Grandma with Dr. Levin. We booked Ms. Benton, elder law, soft sweater, sharp eyes. On the drive home, my phone buzzed again. Keegan, if they bring a mobile notary, ask for commission card. If it lives in the car, you don't sign in the car. Another arthritic wink. Dad left a voicemail. We'll stop by after dinner, we'll make it festive. He says festive the way other people say anesthesia. I made soup. When I don't know what to do, I make soup. Mom chopped celery too loud. Aunt Gloria moved salt and pepper like chess pieces. At 8, Dad and Trent arrived with a clipboard and confidence you can only rent from a crowd. A man with a stamp stood on our porch, backlit through the glass. Commission? Gloria asked at the door. In the car, he said. We don't notarize in cars, she said, and shut the door like a librarian closing for lunch. Sign where the tabs are, Trent told me, flipping sticky arrows like confetti. We'll keep copies. Grandpa will sleep better. Where is Grandpa? Mom asked. Watching the game, Dad said. Grandpa watches people, not games. Dad set the clipboard on our dining table, the one Dad refinished badly, the corner nicked from when I weaponized a backpack. He touched the pen to the paper and looked at me with his don't embarrass me eyes. Sign, he said. A knock interrupted him. Everyone startled like kids at a sleepover. Grandpa walked in without using the bell, hat in his hand like he remembered what houses require. He looked at my mother's hands first. Marla, he said softly, you're shaking. She exhaled a weak. We're formalizing the fund, Dad told him. You said we should put things in writing. I said we should stop letting smoke count as fire, Grandpa said, setting his hat on the counter like a period. He looked at the notary on the porch. Does your commission live in the car? The man blinked at the glass. I'll come back, he said, and returned to the billboard where I'd seen his face. Arthur, Dad said, smile gone, paper dry, we're just doing what you've always done. Grandpa studied the pen, the way Dad's thumb rubbed the clip. He stepped close. He has a way of making rooms smaller without moving walls. He set 2 fingers on Dad's wrist, light as grammar. Dad's hand opened like a mistake. Stand down, Grandpa said. The dishwasher hummed like it wanted no part of this. Dad laughed high. Is this basic training? This is my house, Grandpa said, and then more pointed, and not yours. Trent tried a different road. Grandpa, the runway. We are not funding runway, Grandpa said. We are funding reality. Dad's mouth made shapes. He turned back to the table because he only knows forward, even when forward is a wall. This is a vote, he said. Majority rules. No, Grandpa said. Consent rules. They left without paper. Dad said, this isn't over, with his back to the door. Trent texted me from the car, you're making enemies you don't need. I didn't answer. Grandpa took his hat and stood on the porch a full minute, watching the road like it owed him a sentence. Coffee or war? Aunt Gloria asked him finally. Coffee, he said. He sat with us at the table like it remembered him from before it was a battlefield. He slid the clipboard between us and sighed like a man remembering where a knot lives in a rope. Victor wrote this, he said. Yes, we said, in 3 different shapes of yes. And Keegan texted you last night? He asked me. He did, I said. You didn't ask him to. He rubbed his temple with a knuckle. He thinks he's subtle, he's not. He nodded at my phone. Do you have photographs? I slid the phone. He scrolled like a man reading a field manual in a storm. He stopped at the sticky, smiled without teeth, and read mortgage leverage in play. He shook his head. Poetry? What do we do? Mom asked. The question sounded older than the table. We put it in the sun, Grandpa said. Victor can't carry heat and paper at the same time. Ms. Benton explained springing powers of attorney like she was giving us new vocabulary words for old pains. Grandpa listened, hat in his lap like a contraband he wasn't sure about. He asked if Grandma could still appoint. We said Dr. Levin would test her. He nodded once like he'd signed something brave, then let us talk. Dr. Levin's eval took an hour. Grandma nailed faces, told stories well, lost count past 5s. Enough capacity to appoint with support. Door unlocked. We scheduled the signing for the following week. Grandma naming Aunt Gloria and me as co-agents, springing with a doctor's letter. Healthcare proxy the same. Annual accounting to grandma, even if it's just us reading numbers in the kitchen with lemon bars to keep score. We told Mr. Ortiz, he nodded like weather breaking. Dad escalated. He called my boss and used the word embezzling like it had a coupon attached. HR asked me to bring context. I brought the county copy of the lien, Mr. Ortiz's passphrase note, Ms. Benton's card, and a list of failed call-ins that bounced off Maple. The director looked like a man watching a game he already learned to lose less painfully. "Thank you," he said. He offered a sandwich voucher like sympathy with calories. Dad tried the pastor. He told Grandma's neighbor we were isolating her. Mrs. Bell wrote my mother a note in tiny cursive. "Sweetheart, I live across the street. I know who brings soup." He called a strategy dinner at the lake cabin. Deer on the walls watched like they knew we'd fail to be wise. Dad set the clipboard at the head like a crown. Trent draped his arm over a chair like a furniture ad. Grandpa arrived last and took the seat by the window. He listened to the blessing without closing his eyes. Dad started with unit and duty and belonging. He said vote like votes are holy until they are. "Disclosures," Aunt Gloria said, raising her hand a quarter inch. "Where does the money go? Who signs? What accounting?" "Discretionary," Dad said. He unsmiled at her. "My vote is no," she said, "and my sister's is no if you try to speak it for her." Dad scraped his chair back. "We don't need your consent," he said. Grandpa set his palm on the table. The table amplified it. He turned to Dad without blinking. "Victor," he said in a voice that sounded like his handwriting, "stand down." Dad's jaw moved. He lifted his hand like he might try the old wrist trick. Grandpa didn't move his shoulders. He caught Dad's wrist with 2 fingers and pressed. "It isn't violent, it's gravity with manners." Dad's hand opened. His knees found the floor because the floor was faster than pride. "Stand," Grandpa said after a breath, and Dad did because some orders don't expire. I pulled out my phone, set it by the salt, and tapped record. My voice came out smaller than I felt. "Just so we're clear," I said, "if Mom and Dad don't pay into your discretionary fund, do you intend to call the note on their house?" Dad forgot the recorder. He said yes, like he'd been keeping the word in his cheek. "Consequence is the only language left." Grandpa closed his eyes like he was listening for rain. I tapped stop. We left before dessert. The door made a noise like relief. Ms. Benton's letter went out Monday with CCs that make men sit down. It referenced Dr. Levin's letter. It referenced Grandma's pending POA with co-agents. It referenced a recording without audio. It didn't accuse, it described. Description works like a solvent. The hearing took 20 minutes. The judge said prudent and annual accounting, and signed where the blue tab said sign here. Sometimes the right tabs exist. We moved Grandma's small checking account to a branch across town. We added Maple, added notes, added alerts. Aunt Gloria started a binder with copies, dates, and a cover sheet that said keep it boring in block letters. Trent tried soft. He left a plant on the porch and texted she likes begonias. I replied please stop leaving uninvited items. He wrote love is inconvenient. I wrote boundaries aren't and sent a still from the porch camera, his finger hovering over the bell. Dad tried loud. He made speeches at the VFW about breaking ranks. Tom the manager said, "We're not doing family court in the bar, Vic." Dad sat. Grandpa didn't apologize with a speech. He showed up with mints Grandma likes and a paperback he thought she'd read again. He asked to see the plan. He read Ms. Benton's 2-pager like it was a map he had once walked in the dark. "Good," he said, and that was all. Weeks stretched. Soup. Lemon bars, forms, calls. Maple blocked 2 more attempts at beneficiary changes. The porch camera caught Trent's car slowing and then moving on. The cousins' group chat quieted. The air in rooms we shared learned to ignore Dad's volume. Then 3 weeks after the hearing, Grandpa asked me to meet him at the public library, 2nd floor, study room B. He never picked a neutral place in his life. He always preferred rooms that knew him. He was early, he always is. He had an old leather map case sitting on the table and a ring with 2 keys on it, safety deposit keys, the thin kind that look like the letter opener's cousin. He didn't make a show of them. He let them sit. "You did not sign," he said. "I did not. You did not take the bait when Victor called your boss. I brought a folder. You did not raise your voice. I bought soup." He nodded a private salute. "Tell me what consent means," he said. "It means the paper only counts if the person holding the pen wants it to." He smiled without showing teeth. "Good enough." He slid the keys to the edge of the table and then pulled them back. "I bought something in 1983, he said. "A small thing that turned into a bigger thing because people like coffee and light." He opened the map case and drew out a folder with an old bank's name. Inside, an operating agreement for a tiny LLC that owned a brick building on a corner you drive past without seeing. 4 storefronts, upstairs apartments. Rent checks like rain, no debt. I kept it off the family balance sheet, he said. Not because I was hiding it, because I wanted to see who knew how to carry weight without being seen. I sat back. I had guessed at a lake lot, a box of bonds, a pile of old medals with auction value. I had not guessed at a building that prints groceries. I told myself I would hand the keys to the person who could write a ledger without asking for applause, he said. I thought it might be Trent for a while. He likes checks that arrive. He does not like land that needs roofs and tenants who need phone calls returned. Your father likes speeches. He tapped the folder. I told myself if I ever saw you sign anything that wasn't yours because you were told to keep the peace, I'd find somebody else. You didn't sign. You waited to see if I could stand up, I said. I waited to see if you could sit down, he said. To paperwork, to boredom. To what saves families after the flags and the songs. He slid the keys toward me again and didn't pull them back. This is not inheritance, he said. This is assignment. Manager today, not later. You will run it like a person other people can live with. You will send your grandmother lemon bars billed to me if you want. You will not pay Victor or Trent out of this. You will not announce it. If you make a speech, I will take it back. I didn't touch the keys. There are moments when touching is too loud. I can't be bought out of being decent, I said, and he laughed, a small, relieved laugh. I'm not buying you, he said. I'm hiring you. He slid over a second envelope, thin, heavier than paper. If I fall down tomorrow, he said, this gives you authority to act for the LLC until the lawyer manages the rest. The rest is clean. Don't let anybody with a clipboard tell you it is. He looked out the library window at a row of maples that had failed to do fall correctly and were trying again in January light. You think I like doing this? He asked. Choosing between my son and a quiet man with soup? I think you like the truth, I said. I like working equipment, he said. Victor doesn't like instructions. Trent doesn't like maintenance. You like receipts. He stood because he doesn't end meetings sitting down. He left the keys on the table. Don't make me regret, he said. It wasn't a threat. It was a benediction for people who grew up under orders. On my way out, Keegan texted, if a man hands you a building, you don't send a thank you card. You send a copy of the insurance. Winky face. I didn't go home and make a speech. I found a printer that still believes in toner. I made a binder with tabs. Leases, insurance, utilities, maintenance, reserves. I drove past the building twice before I parked. The corner tenant had a neon sign that said open and meant it. I walked inside and bought a coffee I didn't want and a bagel I didn't need. The owner, a woman named Nita with forearms that have lifted things, said, you look like you're carrying a lot. I brought it here to set it down, I said. I called Ms. Benton and said I needed a short meeting that was also long. I called an insurance agent, Tom, at the VFW swears by. I called a roofer who said sentences like, if we wait 2 months, this becomes 2,000 more, and I believed him. I made a maintenance spreadsheet with dates and costs because the future never gets cheaper. I didn't tell Dad. I didn't tell Trent. I told Aunt Gloria and my mother and Keegan in that order. I wish I could say Dad walked into the building and looked up and saw me and the corners and understood. He didn't. He found out when a cousin saw my car outside and took a picture and sent it to the group chat with 3 question marks. Dad texted me, what is this, without punctuation, like punctuation is a favor. I wrote back, work. He called. I let it ring twice. He left a message that used the word betrayal like he was ordering at a drive-thru. Then he said, smaller, you chose him, and hung up. I didn't say he chose me. I didn't say anything. A week later, Grandpa came by the building at opening and ordered coffee black like there are no other kinds. He stood at the window and watched the bus stop. He didn't say good job. He said, check the gutters. I said, yes, sir, and we both laughed because sir is a ghost you can make sit. Trent tried to pitch me on activating the corner with pop-ups. We can brand it, he said. We can put the family name on the awning. The family name is already on the leases, I said, in rent checks. He said, you're small-minded, like he was measuring my skull. I said, I'm solvent, like I was measuring the month. He told Dad I was hoarding opportunity. Dad called to tell me this isn't what Grandpa meant, as if Grandpa doesn't leave words where he wants them. Grandpa sent me one text that week, hydrate. It made me laugh. It made me check the gutters. Update 1, 6 weeks later, the refinance on my parents' second closed. No family member involved. Payment up a bit, nights quieter. Mr. Ortiz called. 2 more attempts to change beneficiaries failed at Maple. He said, we like friction. Grandma moved into the memory care unit with the courtyard where red wagons happen. The nurse wrote Lorraine likes lemon on her board in purple marker. Aunt Gloria teaches paperwork for people who hate paperwork on Saturdays. The first week she had 50 chairs. The third week, people stood. Tom at the VFW asked Dad to cool family business at the hall. Dad cooled like coffee left on a porch. Trent posted on LinkedIn that his startup was sunsetting to explore new horizons. The horizon included a different skyline and the same quarter zips. He texted Grandpa for a bridge. Grandpa answered, "Be a bridge to yourself." Nonsense, and also the first no I've heard him put on paper for Trent. I filed the building's insurance binder under B and set calendar reminders like religion. I learned the names of the upstairs tenants and their dogs. Update 2, 4 months later, Dad still doesn't like the building. He likes it even less now that he knows it's not a rumor. He drove by once, circled, and left without coming in. He sent a long text that began, "I don't need your charity," and ended with, "You owe me." I replied, "The rent is for the roof. You're invited for coffee." He wrote, "Pass." Grandpa visits Grandma on schedule. He doesn't give speeches. He sits and tells quiet stories with the verbs missing so we can supply them. He stops at my building after and points at things that leak before they leak. He hasn't said proud. He has said gutters 4 times. Keegan sends me texts like fortune cookies, silence is a tool, paper is an ally, rooms move on. Aunt Gloria added a slide to her class that says consent vote and people take pictures of it. Trent pitched a cousin on a pop-up activation at their barbecue and got a hot dog and a no. The cousins stopped saying what's $100. They started saying send me the form. Dad hasn't come in for coffee, but he answered my call last Tuesday and said, "We're okay." And I said, "We're okay today," and he said, "That's more than I thought," and hung up before he could ruin it. Grandpa still texts hydrate like an order. I do, I check the gutters, I sign checks, I answer calls. The building isn't a trophy, it's a list, it's a promise in brick. He didn't give me money, he gave me work, he didn't give me a speech. He gave me keys. Trent wanted runway, Dad wanted rank. Grandpa wanted receipts, I wanted quiet. The keys make a sound when you set them down on the table. It sounds like something that outlasts a clipboard.